the introductory criteria for both the Cobain and Hill studies is the same, i.e. the inclusion criteria. And these are mostly valid for the CSC brief intervention as well. Patients should smell of alcohol or have repetitive positive ETGs. 2, not inactive withdrawal. Not inactive withdrawal. 3, no illicit drugs on board or actively injecting. 4, no altered level of consciousness. And 5, should have a history of alcohol-related injuries, calls to police, or simply frequent ER visits. Now, Nicole and myself are going to present an actual case from one of the Hill data study sets. You should be able to figure out at the end of this video from which data set this patient came. When I look just to the right, I'm talking only to the patient. When I look straight ahead, I'm talking to the audience. The case. 42-year-old woman who reported to the ER at 6 a.m. Monday morning after punching a wall with her right hand around 3:30 a.m. while drinking at a party. History of 3 previous ER visits, each on a Monday morning. 1 for GI upset, 1 for headache, and the previous one to this one for falling down 3 steps at her house prior to breakfast. In the charts, no mention of alcohol relation problems or specific diagnosis. Basically, the patient was treated by first aid and sent home. However, at this visit, the patient was seen by the second-year medical resident. X-ray showed undisplaced boxer type fracture on the right. This was splinted. Patient was given non-narcotic pain management, referred to the staff physician on duty for a brief intervention, was asked to stop by my office on the way out of the ER. Good morning, Mrs. C. Please sit down. How is your hand doing?
Better.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about drinking. Would that be okay?
Yeah, sure.
First question should be a non-confrontational opener. Does the amount you drink concern you?
Not really. I drink wine, and only on the weekends.
I'd like to ask you another question about how much you drink.
Okay.
How often do you have 6 or more drinks on one occasion? Never? Less than monthly? Monthly? Weekly? Daily? Or most days?
Probably once a week.
Wine, right?
Yes, that's right. On the weekends.
So is this your wine glass?
No.
Do you see something that represents your wine glass?
Yeah. This one right here.
That's a pretty big glass.
Is it? It's slightly bigger.
Okay. How many of those would you drink at a party?
Probably 6, maybe 7.
1.5 to 2 liters of wine at a party. Well, I think I would like to go over some of this information from this alcohol pamphlet because I think you'll find it very useful. Alcohol, what is it?
It says alcohol is a depressant drug.
Yeah, and that's because it affects part of your brain and your vital signs and those sort of things. Now, alcohol gets consumed in different ways, and this pamphlet's very good because unlike the questionnaire I just showed you, this is much easier to quantify or show yourself how much you are drinking. Contextual relevance. is so important in brief intervention, and contextual relevance has a different meaning in BI. What it means is ask the appropriate questions to the right patient. This patient is a woman, and therefore I'm going to highlight things that I think will be more important to her. So, if you look right here, women are more sensitive to the effects of alcohol, and they get intoxicated quicker, and it takes more time for their body to eliminate the alcohol you drink.
Why is that? Can you tell me?
Well, the classic explanation is women have smaller livers. That's what I call a water pump analogy. You know, you have a water pump on your well, and if you have a little pump, you're not moving the water that quickly. But if you have a bigger pump, then you're able to process or provide more water much more easily. Even though women drink half as much in their lifetime, or most women drink half as much in their lifetime as men, they are just as likely to develop alcohol-related diseases and twice as likely to die from them. Things like cirrhosis and kidney failure.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Other things that are interesting here, alcohol disturbs sleep patterns and causes wakefulness at night. And that's even worse if you have sleep apnea.
Oh, everybody knows that's not good for you.
You know, I found even up here in the North Country, people know about sleep apnea. So, other important things are alcohol can impact judgment, behavior, attitudes, and reflexes. This can result in high-risk behaviors, traffic accidents, and often accidents at home. In fact, there are more regrettable moments due to alcohol than all other drugs put together. It seems we're establishing the connection between the drinking, the behavior, the outcome, and the ER visit. Drinking a bunch of alcohol can kill you. Extreme intoxication.
Yes, my neighbor, old Louis, he was sleeping outside overnight. It was very cold. He had consumed something like 3 liters of vodka. They found him dead on the porch. And when they brought him to the hospital, his family said he had a blood alcohol level of over 600.
Yep, 3 liters was right, and I pronounced him dead. But it was minus 38 that night. Again, alcohol and pregnancy, we need to just touch on that. It's a problem relative to behavior in the infant, growth deficiency, facial and limb deformities, and cardiac issues. The risk increases with the amount you drink. Some places they say don't drink anything. Depends on which country you're in. But one thing we do know is the outcomes are proportionate roughly to the amount consumed. Then, a couple of other things here. Chronic drinking can damage the brain, lead to dementia, poor motor coordination, and neuropathy in the feet, particularly in diabetics. Alcohol dependence often results in clinical depression, and the rate of suicide is 6 to 10 times the general population. It's 60 times here. And there's a very good section for people who can't stop drinking. It tells you what to do next.
Okay.
Alcohol in the law? Well, that's easy. Never operate machinery after you've been drinking. Drive your truck or your snow machine.
No issues there.
Good. So, Mrs. C, I would like you to take this pamphlet home and read it. And I suggest you keep it by your bed, read one page either in the morning or the evening, but don't throw it out. And over time, you may want to come back to certain sections, like to quantify how much you're drinking, to see what additional treatments are recommended, and people have found keeping it in their night table works very well.
Thank you.
would you agree to allow me to call you in 6 months to see how you were doing?
You would call me? I can't believe you asked me that. Of course you can call me.
Then please sign here
Okay?
for the consent form. Please include a valid phone number and the best time to call.
Yes, you can always reach me in the evening.
Good. Nine minutes.
Every day, okay?